Hey gents, welcome back on to another live Q&A. Tonight we've got an unusual topic. It's not something we normally talk about, but because of the number of dudes who are having issues with this, I was like, no, we're definitely got to chat about this. And we're talking about like when things aren't going right at home, when you're arguing with the missus, either she's cracking the shits with you, or you're cracking the shits with her or him, whatever you're into. If you're finding that life is just super stressful on the home front, we've got a heap of stuff tonight which we're going to go over, which should help make a lot of that way easier. We're going to look at some of the common causes and some of the common ways we can go fix it. Okay, so I hope this one helps you out because a lot of dudes are struggling with this stuff at the moment in a big way. Now, by the way, guys, one of my big struggles is getting this fucking microphone to work properly. Can anyone confirm for me whether this microphone is good tonight, whether it's really echoey or how it is? Because I'm going to plug this in, I'm going to test it on my end. And on my end, it sounds... Oh, let me check that. There we go. On my end, it sounds great. It sounds really good. But I don't know if Facebook is doing the same for me. So can someone please do a little mic check for me and let me know if it's bueno or no bueno? It's super weird. I don't know why it does that. It's perfect. Michael can hear it perfectly. All right, sweet. So we're on there. Can anyone else confirm for me just to make sure that it's not just Michael's beautiful ears making everything sound amazing? Can anyone else confirm for me whether this audio is actually good? Because if it is, then I can start moving on. We can start getting into some of the stuff that you guys are here for. Ones have that confirmation? Yep, all good. Sound quality is as good as your program. That's what I want to hear, man. That's what I want to hear. We've had so many dudes like you, Dan, and like you, Michael, who have just been like absolutely crushing it lately. It's really good. Thank you very much as well, Lee. Appreciate you, man. It's really cool seeing so many guys dominate, and I guess that brings into tonight as well. When things are not going well at home. So the most common issues that I see with dudes who we work with are issues around. Number one, we fly off the handle. Like we lose our shit, and we're just not like being the best husbands, best fathers, just the best people that we can be. Number two is people are cracking the shits with us and we feel like others are dragging us down. And then the third thing revolves around financial stresses. So what we're going to do is tonight I'm going to look to solve all three of those things for you so that you can just feel like you're fucking dominating. You can live life exactly how you want to. Now, before I get into it, guys, please, if you're watching this live, comment live, like hashtag live down in the comments section below. If you're watching this as a replay, hashtag replay down below. This helps us cater our content to you so we can get you more of what you need. All right. So if you comment live, if you're watching this live, comment live. If you're watching it as a replay, comment replay. All right. And also, by the way, guys, feel free to interact and like ask questions as we're going along. I'll endeavor to answer every single question that you guys have, whether it's related to this or not. I'm just here to help you and give you as much usable information as I can possibly do. All right. Now, by the way, thank you very much, David Byrne, for confirming that. Welcome, Mickey Slob, as well. Good to have you on, my man. One of the OGs of JCF, Michael. Worked with him back a few years ago. I hope you're absolutely smashing life, man. It's funny for me to remember back when we were working together and to look at like how different your life was before we met. It's really cool, dude. All right, so let's go through and let's just crack straight on into this. Now, the first issue that we have as dudes, when things aren't going well at home, a lot of the time it falls back onto us. A lot of the time, it is when we are not performing well and we're not doing our manly duties and being our best selves. When we start losing our shit at other people and we start putting our crap onto others. One of the big things that I see over and over again is when we start getting stressed out, when we start getting strung up, other people start copying it and we start pushing it onto them. When we're being grumpy, when we're being pricks, other people around us, inherently, they become negative towards us and we start copying their shit. And it goes in this cycle. We give them shit, they give us shit. We give them shit, they give us shit. And it continues going on and on and on and on. You may have noticed this before, but like when you're shitty, that everybody else around you gets shitty. So how do we stop this? Well, the first thing that we need to do is we need to get get crystal clear on what our summit's going to be. You've heard me hammer on about this, and I'm going to hammer on about it again. You need to know what your summit is. You need to know what your mission is. Well, I was reading a very, very interesting book the other day, and one of the things that I do is, like, in my reading, like, my job now is to help make every single man that I come into contact with better. And one of the things that I do in order to make sure that I can do that is learn a fucking shitload. One of the things we were looking at as I was reading this, one of the things I was researching on was the fact that goals are not actually that good. What happens with a goal is a goal creates a mindset of insufficiency. And what I mean by this is that if we have a goal to make $1 million, that means that when we make $1 million, that's good. Therefore, right now and where we are not good enough. And what that does is that starts creating this gap, which then leads to anxiety and stress. And so instead of goals as such, let's create a purpose. Let's create a mission. Let's create a set of principles that we want to live by. Whenever we start working with anybody from JCF, we start to, first of all, always, we map out the summit. Every single time we always map out the summit, because what we're doing there is we're creating a mission and a purpose and a reason for being and a reason for living, not an arbitrary goal. We are creating a meaning. When we have a meaning, we have something that we're working towards, which is not necessarily designed to make us feel insufficient, but it's something which is aspirational, something which is really, really positive, something which encourages a growth mindset, and something which encourages us to want to grow and be better continually over time, and often revolves around things like being a better dad, being a better husband, being a better, employee, employer, and whatnot. And so when we set our summit as opposed to setting a goal, we no longer position ourselves as not being good enough, but we position ourselves as working towards creating an even more amazing future. It's a subtle psychological difference, but it's very, very important. Moral of the story, create a summit. You need to have your summit. If you don't have the summit training, comment summit below. Next thing after this, we need to look at the role of the nervous system in the way that we feel. Our nervous system, our hormones, our digestive system, our immune system, these all play a very big role in the way that we feel. I'll give you an example. If you're not sleeping very well, how are you in the morning? If you used to have a really shit night's sleep, how do you wake up feeling? Like crap. You generally wake up with less energy, you're generally less motivated, less enthused, or if you're like me, you're probably a bit of a prick, right? If we don't sleep well, if we're stressed out, if we're anxious, we're going to pass this on to other people around us. This has this negative feedback loop where it starts going around again. We're a prick to them, they're a prick to us. We get angry, we don't sleep as well, we start getting more stressed out, then we become more of a prick. And it continues going on and on and on and on. You need to look at the nervous system. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you're not up to date with what we do with the nervous system, with the summit, I want you to just comment summit below, comment summit, and I'm going to hook you up with all the information that you need, like every single little bit, all right? Next thing, how do we deal with people outside of us who are fucking with us? People who are not being pleasant. This could be people at work. I'll give you an example. Goober, Scott Goodrick, who we had on the podcast just recently. Right? Goober used to always get shat on all the time. Right? Just got shat on, and shat on. Okay? And this was because he wasn't able to set boundaries, wasn't able to tell people what is an okay way to treat me and what is an unacceptable way to treat me. And because of this, he just continually people took the piss out of him and did not treat him the way that he should be treated or the way that he wanted to be treated. But because he wasn't setting boundaries and wasn't telling people what was okay and what was not okay, it kept on happening. We as men need to be excellent at setting boundaries. And by boundaries, I mean setting a standard for what's an acceptable behavior and what's not an acceptable behavior, right? You'll notice that every guy who joins and works with us at JCF, we tell you how you've got to act in order to win, right? I'm actually in the process right now of filming up a new series on how to make sure that you win on the program, but equally how to make sure that you can lose. And what I'm doing there is I'm setting up boundaries to make it so that if you know exactly how you've got to act, if you want to dominate, if you want to be like Dan, if you want to be like Mick, if you want to be like all these guys who come on and crush it, here's how you can act. Equally, here's how you can act if you want to fail, if you want to fuck it up, and if you want to waste your time, right? If you want to fuck spiders, this is how you do it. And we need to make it so that in every single area, we have boundaries set out for those around us so that they know exactly how to act and how they can and how they can't treat us. Very, very important. Now, the next thing, when it comes down to financials and financial constraints, let's be honest. COVID has been a fucking bitch. All right, it has absolutely smashed us. I've seen so many small business owners get fucked over by these things and by our government's response to it. In my opinion, the way that we've looked after small business owners is fucking atrocious. And the way that we've looked after so many people who have mortgages, who have debts, who have things that they need to pay off throughout this time has been absolutely terrible. And it's atrocious, right? But that's done. It's already happened. We can't go through and we can't go back in time. We can't get rid of the politicians. They're still running the place. What we can do is we can look at how we're acting within ourselves, and we can look and control what we can control, right? So we're going to take a very action-oriented approach to this. When times get tough around looking at our budgets, around looking at the first thing that we need to do is we need to remain calm and not get stressed. Whenever we get stressed, adrenaline goes up, cortisol goes up, IQ goes down. We get dumber when we get stressed. When we get dumber, we start spending money on stupid things, right? Who's ever been really, really tired and lethargic? And when we go to the shops, tired, lethargic, or really, really hungry, a little bit stressed, we go out and we spend shitloads of money on stuff we don't need, right? Who's ever been really, really, stressed out, strung out, and we go buy a fucking PlayStation, we go buy a new phone, we go impulsively buy because we feel good when we buy. We don't want that, because when times are tough, we want to make sure that we're not blowing money on stupid shit. We need to make sure that we focus on stuff that we actually need, not on stuff which is going to make us feel good transiently for a second. Because I can tell you what, from having been in this position before and spent money when I really, really shouldn't have, what happens is when you spend that money, you feel good for a second, then afterwards all that regret comes in, right? Because you know that you haven't bought something which is suitable for you. What we need to do is we need to spend money on things which are in alignment with our goals, which are in alignment with our summit, which are in alignment with the things we need. I just spent a metric fuckload of money on a chair, all right? It sounds really stupid. Like I'm on this piece of shit cane chair at the moment, right? And it is really not that good for me. I can't sit down for long and I can't work for long. But I spent a shitload of money on a chair. The reason why I spent a shitload of money on a chair is because I know I'm going to be sitting in that thing for 70 hours a week. If I'm going to sit in that's a wise way for me to spend money, because I'm going to be spending a lot of time in there, and it's going to enhance my work, and it's going to make me be able to deliver a better service to you guys. What wouldn't be a fucking smart idea is something which is going to be fun, buying a new phone, right? Go buying a PlayStation, stuff like that. And I'll tell you why this isn't smart at all. Because not only does it cost us money now, but it also bleeds us time. When we go buy a new car, let's say, for example, we go out and we buy a fancy new car. We've got a car existing at the moment which does the job, but it's not nice. It doesn't have new car smell. We want to get a new one. We go buy a new car. Now, the first order consequence of this is that, first of all, we spend all that money, all right, on that. Second of all, a lot of the time we have a loan, so we end up paying more interest. So it ends up costing us extra money as well. Third order consequence is that we've got higher insurance rates because it costs more and whatnot. We have to go get it serviced more, and we have greater depreciation. Fourth order consequence is that we don't have to drive the fucking thing, which means we have less time to work and less time to be productive and less time to spend on doing things which are going to get us closer to our summit. Can you see how much spending that extra money on a car was super not worth it? We need to make sure that we're spending money on things which are going to get us closer to our summit and go in the direction that we want to go. If we do that, we will inevitably be better, because not only will we make more money from it, but we will save more money as well. All right. If we can do that, we are going to be successful. Now, guys, if you haven't already, comment summit below, because we'll hook you up with exactly what you need, both the summit info and the nervous system information. That is what you need to do. Nick Messina's just commented and said, I tend to eat when I'm stressed. Dude, so do most people as well. Whenever we're stressed, our body is going to look for dopamine. It's going to want some dopamine. This is why drug addicts often relapse in times of stress, because they're looking for the dopamine hit. Super, super normal, dude. What we need to do in that instance is go back to your summit. What am I doing this for? Why am I dieting right now? Why am I not just going to go out and going to eat all this bullshit food, which I know isn't good for me? What is my reasoning for this? What is my true purpose? What is my mission? We're not worried about goals. We're worried about missions. We're worried about summits. We're worried about moving forwards relentlessly. That is what we're here for. If we can have our summit, then we won't get cravings. One of the most interesting things I had, I'm a big foodie, right? And you guys know I'm a big eater. For those of you who've known me for a while, I used to eat a kilo of gummy bears a day, right? A lot. That's a fucking metric shit loads, right? A metric shit load. And I was chowing that stuff down every single day when I was trying to get bigger, right? I get food cravings really, really bad. But when I shifted it and I started focusing on my summit, like what I want to do, I want to help men. I want to make it so that a man's word is worth more than a contract. I want to be able to go and have a handshake agreement with a bloke and have that worth more than legal writing, because I think that a lot of men these days, we don't value our integrity and our word high enough, and I want to change that. And since shifting to that and making sure that I'm congruent and I'm always in integrity, I don't get the same cravings, because it's very, very easy to fix. Yeah, okay, cool. I look at food and I still want it because it still smells and looks delicious. But then I think, okay, is that in alignment with who I truly want to be? Is that going to get me close to my summit? No, fuck it off. I don't want it, because that summit is so much more enticing than any short-term goal. That goes for everything. It goes for food, drugs, porn, the whole lot. Like I am no angel, right? I'll make that very, very clear. I am no angel. I've done a lot of raucous shit in my life. And the best thing that's ever been there for me has been the summit to keep me on track. Now, Rob Pearson's comment, if like a chair, the car is a remote office, would spending more make sense? Hell yeah. If you're going to get a return on investment, this is how we decide whether we should spend more or less money. Return on investment. ROI is the only thing that matters. I remember, I'll give you an example of this. I remember back in the day when I first started doing business, and I paid a marketing team to come and help me with my marketing. And the first question they asked me is like, well, what's your marketing budget? How much do you want to spend? I said, dude, I don't care how much I spend. I care how much return on investment I get. If I put in $1,000 and get $10,000 out, well, why wouldn't I put in $10,000 and get $100,000 out? Put in $100,000 and get $1 million, right? That's the way that we need to think, the return on investment. If you are spending a lot of time in your car and you go and invest more money in a car with better seats, with better fuel efficiency and whatnot, and you end up saving money on chiropractors, you end up saving time because you don't have to go to the chiro. If you end up getting increased amount of happiness, more time to spend with your kids, a more able-bodied, you have to spend less money on fuel, less money on servicing and whatnot. The ROI is the only thing that matters. If you get an ROI out of it, it's going to be great. This cane chair, I'll show you what I'm sitting on, all right? It's this little piece of shit cane chair, all right? It's a lovely chair. I actually quite like it when it's outside and it's not my study chair. But I can't sit in this thing for more than 30 minutes. This thing is costing me money because I can't get as much done because I'm sitting in here. Does that make sense? Whereas the new one, which cost me about a G, I'm going to make money on that thing because I'm going to be able to sit down. I'm going to be able to work for longer. Does that make sense? Sammy Davies said invest in the Hellcat. Great investment. All right, guys, by the way, if you haven't already, comment Summit, just like Lee, Russell, Mark, Dion, my man. By the way, Dion, you've got all this stuff plus more in your client portal. Right? Jace, just like all us guys here who've commented Summit, right? If you want access to the Summit information, the nervous system, you just comment Summit, right? And we'll hook you up and we'll give you this. If there's anything in here that I've talked about tonight that you want to learn more about, just comment Summit. I'll hook you up. I'll give you access to whatever you need. Mick Listen said, COVID is super shit, man, on business. COVID is super shit on business. It's no doubt it's made a lot of things really, really difficult. But there's a really interesting perspective I was given on this. If it's difficult for you, it's going to be difficult for everybody else around you. So what this does is difficulty and change creates opportunity. And by opportunity, we mean how can you expand, how can you diversify, how can you pivot, and how can you flip, or how can you increase your efficiency to outcompete your competitors? This is actually a really cool opportunity. I remember when COVID first kicked in. And at that time in work, like I was kind of cruising, things were good, I wasn't going hard. But when COVID kicked in, it gave me a big wake-up call. It said, hey, this thing could really tank JCF, and we may not be able to fulfill my mission if I don't get off my fucking ass and do more. But then the second thing was, this is going to be a very, very big opportunity because everybody else is going to go into scarcity mode, and I went full abundance mode. Like full disclosure with you guys, I spent $100,000 in 1 week when COVID hit on mentoring and on learning more. And it was quite incredible because I made that money back within a week after spending it. It was the most ridiculous, crazy thing that I'd ever seen in my life or ever done in my life. I just said, fuck it, I'm going all in. When we have times of stress, particularly in business, I find it very, very effective to go all in. When everybody else zigs, you zag. Because when you zag, you pick up all the opportunities and you pick up all the other things that people miss out on. And the more that we can do in that, the more we can pivot, the more we can make things more efficient, more effective. We can improve our systems, our automation, our processes, and we can do this and we double down in business, the better off we'll be, not just in the short term and the long term. And the next thing that I was taught, which was really cool by some of my mentors, was play the long game. COVID's around here for a bit. The politicians, they're lapping it up. They are fucking rubbing their nipples in delight because they get to keep extending these lockdowns. And there is nothing more that a politician loves than power, right? We all know that. We get that totally. But it's going to go away eventually. So how do we play the long game? Us in business, how do we double down on customer service? All right, so like for us right now, I'm going to spend a buttload of money on going through and making it so that we already have the best information in the world in terms of our programming. Next thing I want to do is like, how do we make it so that you guys can use our apps better? How do we make it so you can read the programs easier? How do we make it so that you have everything at your fingertips? How can I invest time, effort, and smarts into making it so that this is like the best customer experience for you guys, so that every time you open up your program, you can't help but smile because you're like, holy fuck, how good is this thing? If we can shift our mentality to doing things like that and lifting our game in the service and the way that we take care of our customers, we will be more successful because people will want to work with us more and because people will enjoy working with us more and because, fuck, it's a no-brainer for them to continue working with us more because it's just so fucking good. If we shift our mentality, and that was a huge thing that I was taught, which was an absolute game changer for us and allowed us to really lift our standard at JCF to where it is today. Jan's just commented here, COVID is difficult, but a plus side was it slowed work down for me so I could focus more on myself. Dude, that's awesome. I fucking love that, man. You know what's really super interesting about that is that because you and Mick as well, you guys you're both successful and you're going to go places no matter what. But the more time that we invest in us and the better we become, the more money we're going to make and the more success we're going to have in business. Because in the end of the day, literally no matter what business you run, people are buying you. So then I'm really pumped to see when your business ramps up. Because once we've got our hands on you a little bit more and we've gone through and made you as fucking awesome as you can be, tuned you right the way up, I'm really, really excited to see how much more success you have just because you're more confident, you're sleeping better, you're more energetic, and you just feel like you're on your A game 24/7, 365. I want to see what better employees you get, what better connections you get, how more customers want to work with you just because you're fucking awesome inside and out. I think that'll be, I'm really excited to see what comes to that, man. One of the things that I do, I work with a lot of dudes who are in, pretty big time businesses. Like I'm talking, millions and millions, and they're doing very, very well. And one of the things that I notice with all these guys is that as I help them be more confident, as I help them be more authentic and be themselves and be the highest versions of themselves, their businesses just grow and grow and grow and grow. It's really, really quite cool, and I'm fucking pumped to see it for you guys. Rob Pearson said, good call. By the way, is there a JCF portal app? Not yet, but it's coming. We're debating between a web app and an actual app. The reason being, the argument for the web app is that you don't have to store it on your phone, so it doesn't take up any space. You don't have to delete it, all that sort of stuff. But the argument for the app is just it's just super convenient. So that's what we're investigating at the moment. What we're doing is, so the cool thing about our setup at the moment with us using Google Sheets is that we, like for our programming that is that it's so customizable. We can do so much cool stuff. We can innovate at a super high level, which we like to do because we're constantly revamping the program. The only downside is it looks like shit. It just looks, well, not that it looks like shit, but to my opinion, for me, for what I want you guys to have, like I want it to be better than that. In terms of the portal itself, we want that to be just super easy. We're going to redo the whole portal. I'm filming a heap of new content for it now. We're going to have the first 24 weeks like mapped out, bang, 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 heap of mindset stuff, go through nervous system, digestive system, hormones, immune system, the whole lot. So we're going through and we're implementing that as we speak. And then also I'm going to be doing a whole heap more, like way more in-depth stuff too, which you're going to fucking love, dude. It'll be a lot of fun. Matty Styles, my man. Hey, man, just want to say thank you for popping up when I needed you. Just got back from my first session in the gym, and it was amazing. You're the man, James. Dude, that's super fucking cool. I'm really, really happy to hear that, bro. You keep crushing it. You know what's been awesome lately is I've heard of so many of you guys, or I've talked with so many of you guys, and you're just dominating. It makes me really, really happy to see how many of you guys are fucking smashing. And even if I've had the smallest amount of influence on you, like that's a really, really, that's selfishly, that's a really cool feeling for me to know that I've even made the smallest part of a difference for you guys. That's really, really fucking cool. So thanks for sharing that, man. And thank you to all of you guys as well who have been sharing up and talking about all your wins lately. It's what I do it for. It's just really, really cool. I really, really appreciate you sharing it. It actually means a lot. Like I work pretty hard. I pull a few hours, and seeing that as the byproduct and seeing what you guys can do and how much you're crushing it, it's the coolest shit. So thank you. I really, really appreciate it. Guys, on that note, I'm going to jump off. I'm going to go have dinner. Now, if you don't already have access to the Summit info, comment Summit. Okay, if you don't have access to any of the stuff that I talked about tonight, or you need more help, comment Summit. We'll reach out, have a chat, and then we'll go from there. Have an amazing evening, guys. Take care.